Alright guys, welcome back.
In this video, we're making a one-piece mold out of this starfish.
Yep, we'll be showing you the process of how we made a one-piece mold for this starfish.
And next, we're making it out of metal in a future video.
Let's get started.
Let's get started!
That was bad.
So, to begin this project, we need to prepare the starfish. First, we coat it in a layer of clear coat. This should help it come out of the mold easier and fill in the smaller cracks that silicone might get stuck in. After coating, it needs to dry for a couple days. And once it is dry, we'll bring him in and begin to fill in the bigger cracks with water-based clay. A good tip for making silicone molds is to make sure that whatever you use to aid in the mold making process is sulfur-free. Sulfur can inhibit the curing of silicone and leave you with a puddle of sticky mess. Once we feel like the starfish is ready, it is time to plan where we want to put the pore sprue. The pore sprue makes the hole where you will pour in the resin, wax, or any other material that you want the copy to be made out of. This part is the most important because a poorly placed pore sprue can cause lots of trouble in the future. We put ours in the center of the starfish, on the bottom, in a spot where it won't really be seen. We measured a good height for the sprue so that the size of the bottom of the mold won't be excessively thick. A thickness of 1/4 inch should do just fine for this mold. We then made a little paper placeholder to keep the starfish in place while we create the walls. We are making the walls out of paper. Paper can be a great and super easy way to enclose your molds. We are just using hot glue to seal the bottom of the paper to our cutting mat, and we're calling it good. Another tip, as you will see in just a bit, is to make sure the mold you make is really well sealed, because ours turned out to have a sneaky little hole and some of the silicone started to leak out. But that was not too much of a problem. We just placed a bit of the leftover clay around and closed the gap. Now that the form of the mold is done, we mix the silicone parts together. For this, just make sure to follow the instructions for mixing your particular silicone, and everything should be fine and dandy. Our silicone has a 1:1 ratio, so to test if we poured the right amount, We dipped sticks into the cups and compared the depths of the silicone. Both sticks looked to have the same amount of silicone on them. So now we can mix. This can take a few minutes. Once mixed, it is time to pour. Because the starfish has an undercut in it, we are afraid of pockets of air bubbles getting trapped there. So we first pour the silicone without the starfish, just until it reaches the height where the paper holder ends. This actually seemed to work because we did not have any big bubbles trapped. We then use hot glue to put the starfish in and continue to pour the rest of the silicone. Make sure to glue your object down because it may decide it wants to swim, where it will end up at the top of the silicone and ruin the whole mold. Another tip is that if you don't have enough silicone, you can add chunks of older silicone molds to bulk it out. For example, if you have a mold that was a fail or a mold you rarely use, you can cut it up and place those chunks into the new mold. The chunks will fuse to the silicone as if they were never there. Once we pour in all the silicone, it is time to simply wait for it to cure. Just a day later, it was ready to unmold. We cut away the paper and begin to cut open the mold. The way we decided to cut open the mold was to cut the bottom. We cut the mold open in a zigzag pattern, and this is to help the mold close back up the right way. The zigzag pattern creates keys that allow the mold to line up correctly after being cut. Once we have the starfish out, the mold is ready to test. To test it, we can do a simple wax pour. We pour in some paraffin wax and let it dry. Once dried, we carefully unmold it. And it comes out great! The detail the silicone was able to capture is amazing! In a future video, we will show you how you can turn this wax starfish into a metal one. Alright, so now you know some basic techniques behind making molds. I hope this video gave you some ideas on how you will make your own molds.